What's up, YouTube? Antithesis here again to shake my fist at the internet some more. And this time I wanted to talk about something that, I'm sure if you're anything like me, you've probably noticed. When I was younger, I'm not going to go into a whole story here, but when I was younger, I used to think that people cared about being wrong. It used to bother me when I was wrong. I would have things happen. I would have entire fail safes in my head in place to prevent ever being wrong. Like, right? Like, I think most people, they have like defense mechanisms that kick in before you have to come to the realization that you're incorrect, right? You have always the human brain is incredibly powerful and it's incredibly good at convincing ourselves. We're very good at rationalizing things to ourselves. So usually there's some way that you can avoid being wrong. So you don't have to really confront being wrong, even when you are. You can be flat out wrong, not realize, I'm sorry. You can be flat out wrong, learn from why you're wrong, and change your opinion without ever confronting the fact that you were originally actually wrong. But anyways, you know, the point being is that I was so afraid of being wrong that I had fail safes put in place so that it didn't happen, or at the very least, I didn't have to confront it when it did. And I used to think that people shared that broadly. I used to think most people, more or less, didn't like being wrong. I used to think it was genuinely a stopgap that would prevent people from doing or saying certain things that they did not want to be wrong or incorrect. I used to naively think, oh, well, why would this person make this argument? They're incorrect. Like, that's a bad argument. Why would they make that argument? And I'm learning as I get a little older and I talk to more people and I have more experiences arguing with people, having arguments about politics, religion, whatever it may be. Usually it's those two, but whatever it may be, people don't mind being wrong that much. They're 100% okay with being wrong, which is kind of crazy to me because it kind of takes all of I guess you could call it, not leverage necessarily, but I guess it would be leverage. Because, see, when you get into an argument with somebody, when you have a disagreement with someone, or there's a difference in opinion, you are more or less relying, if you're going to argue with them, you're more or less relying on their ability and willingness to engage with your arguments and to accept defeat if they're incorrect, with the mutual understanding that if you end up being incorrect, you will be the one to admit defeat. But people don't do that. No one ever does that. They just kind of don't care. They just bulldoze through. They're fine with being wrong. I watch people like, even if I'm not talking about stuff that I personally do, I watch YouTube debates or whatever. Now, debates are kind of a for show thing. For example, when I'm watching Destiny argue with somebody, that person's never going to be convinced. They usually have a financial incentive to not be convinced. So they'll make all the bad arguments that they know are already bad, and they'll still make them anyway, and they'll still sit there and look like a dumbass when Destiny tries to call them on it. But it doesn't matter. They don't care because ultimately they're okay with being wrong. And this is something I don't really know how to handle. I don't really know how to handle it when someone is okay with being wrong. I don't know how you correct the behavior if they have a really bad opinion. Opinion. If they have a really bad opinion, but they're wrong. Especially if they're okay with being wrong. Like, how do you tackle that? Destiny will say, or someone will make a point. Destiny will counter the point with completely factual information that they will agree with, and then they will just move on like nothing happens. Like, bro, you were just completely 100% factually incorrect. And not only were you incorrect, but that point you were incorrect on is like made up the broader basis of your entire argument. Your entire point falls apart. All of them fall apart like dominoes if this point doesn't work out. Doesn't it bother you that it's just been proven wrong to you in like 15 seconds? And it's like, no, it doesn't bother them because they don't care. They don't care about being right. They don't care about being correct. They don't care about being accurate. It doesn't bother them. They are undeterred by such frivolous things as logic and rationality. They're not bothered at all, which is kind of sad because I don't really know what to do with our current political environment given that fact. If you argue with somebody about, for example, supporting Trump, and you try to explain to them why it's a terrible idea to support Trump, why they should never support Trump, or all the things he did wrong or bad or whatever. I have flat out told people that Donald Trump is a pedophile before and demonstrated to them why I think that, to have them agree with me that he's probably a pedophile and still support him because they don't care. They don't care. It was never about being right. It was never about being correct. It was never about having correct opinions based in factual reality. It was always about what can I say to get power? What can I say to make myself look better? What can I say to win this particular engagement, right? And it's just, I don't know, it's made everything boring. There's no point in arguing because they don't care if they're wrong. No one does, really. All you can really do is just make people feel bad for having the opinions they have. Because even if they won't confront that they're wrong or they're okay with being wrong, deep down, there are some axioms that they can't get over. If we go back to the pedophile example with Donald Trump, um, when you tell somebody that Trump is a pedophile and they support a pedophile, they will vehemently disagree. And when you show them that they do, they just kind of fold. They don't really know how to handle it. So, they just move on. They don't really know how to handle it. So, what all I think you can do really is make them feel shitty. Just make them feel shitty for supporting a pedophile and move on. That's it. That's all you can do. All you can do is shame them. They don't care about being right. People are they're too okay with being dumbasses. So many people that I meet, they sound so confident and so happy that they're fucking stupid and don't know anything. And it's almost like it's a good thing. It's like, oh yeah, I ain't never thought about nothing in my life. It's like, okay, that's not really something to brag about. Like, maybe you should. Have you considered that? You'll argue with somebody about something hella important, like, for example, race relations or whatever. I guess depending on how white they are, it's less and less important to them. But the point is it's hella important to me, obviously. So you'll be getting into an argument with somebody about race issues, and they'll hit you with the old, well, I don't think that deep into it. You're going way too deep into it for me. And it's like, bro, what the fuck do you have an opinion for? If you don't care enough to inform yourself and even the slightest to if you are comfortable not knowing anything about what you're saying and just spewing shit out there, why do you even care enough to have an opinion? Is it just to sound smart? Because it doesn't have that effect. It actually makes you look really, really fucking stupid. It makes you look retarded because now you have opinions on shit you don't know about. And it makes it easy to pick apart your arguments and demonstrate why they're wrong in real time. And then you don't research it, so you probably are unaware of all of the counter arguments to your point. While the other person, in the case that I'm talking about is usually me, the other person is aware of all the shitty arguments that you're going to say. Like, you're not going to say anything new, But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what you do with that kind of, apathy, that kind of being okay with just being wrong, not only being okay with being wrong, being okay with being ignorant, I guess is the main crux. I know it's been going on 8 minutes now, and it's just now taking me to this point to get to this point, but I'm just kind of thinking through it. And I think it's the ignorance, the willingness to maintain ignorance that bothers me the most. Because it's like, bro, why? Why are you okay with being ignorant? Don't you not want to look like a retard? Like, don't you want to like know things or have opinions that are based in some kind of actual fact that can actually have a good effect on the world or even the people around you? Like, don't you care about any of those things? And it's like, I'm starting to learn that they don't really. They don't. They don't, because once again, it was never about being right. It was never about being morally right. It was never really about being consistent with the facts of reality. Ben Shapiro started the whole facts over feelings bullshit. He never meant that. Ben Shapiro uses feelings more than anything to argue, and always has, even back then. Even when he first became relevant and he first became popular with that whole bullshit of facts don't care about your feelings and all. Even when he was saying that shit, he was still making arguments that were based in opinions and feelings, not facts. So it was never about being correct. And I hope, if you are still here, I'll end the video here, but I'll ask this question. I'll end it with this question. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious. If you are out there and you don't like people like Ben Shapiro, you don't have to be on the left necessarily. I'm on the left, but you don't have to be on the left. You could be in the middle, you could be moderate, you could be center left, whatever. But if you're one of those people who does not like Ben Shapiro, do you genuinely think that he believes that it should be facts over feelings? Have you ever believed that? So that's my question. Did you ever believe that? And if you did, how long did it take for you to realize that was all bullshit? If you realize that, are you still a person who thinks that Ben Shapiro sincerely believes in facts over feelings? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious what your answers to those questions are. I want to know where other people are with this. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here before we hit too far past the 10-minute mark. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time I'm ready to shake my fist at the void. Take it easy.